Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Welcome in. As you're getting comfortable and settled, go ahead and drop in the chat where you're coming from. We want always like to see some familiar faces and names. So let us know where you're at. We always like to see where everybody's from. Welcome in, welcome in. We're here in Cadence Campus Live. If you can see and hear me, drop in where you're from. Toledo, Ohio in the house. I'd like to see that. Milliken, TCC. Close to home, Buffalo. How you doing, Adam? Good to see you. These are some great spots. We love to see all of these wonderful faces coming in. Welcome to Cadence Campus Live. Good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are. We'll give everyone another minute or so before we go ahead and get started. Make sure you throw into the chat where you're coming from. You can throw your town, you can throw your school, wherever we are. Hera coming from St. Catharines, just a hop over the bridge for us here in Buffalo. Love it. All right. I think we're going to give everyone just enough time then. Welcome in. This is Cadence Campus Live. My name is Gary Steltermann. I am your host for today and always. I just want to let you know that this is our monthly 30-minute webinar. So if you are new, every month we sit down and we always like to talk about some hot topic in higher ed. And today, as you can see, we are talking about AI-powered chat and the place where it belongs in higher ed. And we're really excited. So each month we sit down with some other clients or we sit down with some people from behind the scenes here at Mongoose. And speaking of those behind the scenes here with me at Mongoose, joining me is Andrew Veatch and Mike Dziadaszek. Andrew, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself real quick for everybody?
Hi, everyone. I'm really happy to be here today. My name is Andrew Veatch. I'm the VP of Technology here at Mongoose. I have the pleasure of working with Mike and excited to talk about AI chat and anything else technology and product related.
Mike, you want to go ahead too and tell me if I
Sure.
ruined your name or not?
Yeah, that's fine. You guys can call me Mike D. You were close, Gary. Good job. Yeah, I'm Mike D. I'm one of the senior software engineers here at Mongoose, and I've been primarily focused in the AI world, specifically with integrating AI with our chat product.
Great. Thank you guys both for joining me. We have probably two of the most qualified people to join me today to talk about AI powered chat. So that brings me to my next point too. If you guys have any questions, feel free to throw them in the Q&A or in the chat. We have also in the background, we have Melanie, we have Jen, we have Ashley, who are kind of combing and making sure that everyone gets their questions answered. I'll be making sure that everything is getting monitored as well. So we can get right into it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that we can get a little cozier and we guys can talk a little bit. So my first question is to you, Andrew, and for those of anybody on the call who might be AI noobs, can you just give us kind of like a quick AI explainer and check?
Sure. So yeah, it'll be a quick and relatively shallow explainer because I am certainly not qualified to do a deep dive into AI, but the term kind of AI or artificial intelligence is meant to cover a whole branch of computer science and technology that's really concerned with creating and programming applications and computers that can perform tasks that are something that would typically require human intelligence. So examples of those types of things would be recognizing speech and language, producing additional speech and language based on that, producing images, identifying images. So, I mean, image recognition is a big task. Decision making, so looking at predicting future outcomes based on past behavior. So the types of things that would traditionally you would think would take a human being some dedicated time to do, being able to train a machine to not only do that task, but to continually do it better. Does that help, Gary?
I think that helps for sure. My next question then is to Mike. What place does this belong in higher ed? Like, why would a school or a department want to have an AI assistant, an AI chatbot?
Sure. There's many reasons, but actually, before I get started, I want to say I just saw in chat someone is using an AI assistant to help them record Zoom notes. So as you can see, AI is everywhere and going everywhere. But in regards to why a school would want an AI chatbot, there's a bunch of reasons, but just to list a few of them, you get 24/7 availability. Your chatbot's always living and breathing on your website. If a student's going to come and have a question at 3 a.m, it's there to answer. So again, immediate assistance. It can respond and address concerns of pretty much anything that you want it to, prospect students, future students, current students. You can even personalize it. You can, if you want your chatbot to talk like a pirate, go for it. You can do that. It will collect data for you. It's a cost-effective solution. It's also very accessible. It can talk in multiple languages. It can do text-to-speech. So there's a lot of flexibility and customization when it comes to having an AI chatbot.
That's great. Andrew, my next question is to you then. AI, is it taking over the world? Is it taking over people's jobs? Can you talk about how it makes people's lives a little easier?
Sure. Yeah, I think from where I sit, there's just as much kind of discussion and concern for the impact of AI on software development jobs. And I know it's a popular refrain in higher ed as well. I think the reality is I am not worried about my job, and I don't think anyone here should be worried about theirs. I think as the kind of the AI-based tools and applications are becoming a reality, I think the way I look at it is it's clear that it's a complementary addition to what we have, not a replacement for what we're doing. I think the most obvious advantage, you can see there is related to efficiency. So anyone who's used Chat GPT on their own, I think, has probably experienced this already. But you think of some examples where, applications where you can apply AI and it can be focused on responding to standard questions and inquiries quickly, freeing up time for situations that require human attention. So it's not replacing what someone's doing. It's merely helping take care of things that it's capable of and providing more time for humans to do what they do best. Another couple examples you can think of there where you might have a generalist AI assistant that can answer questions about a wide range of kind of public information about the institution. And to Mike's point, it can do that all day long and all night. And it can be doing that instead of having a team of dedicated people who are really dedicated to doing that. A more specific kind of tailored example that we've seen is you could have a course tutor that's trained on the syllabus for a course. It's been trained on lesson material and practice exams for a given course that then allows a faculty member to supplement learning outside the classroom, but with a really tailored controlled data set that they help provide, so they know that they're getting a great resource tailored to the way they present the material, but it's something that can keep the student engaged kind of outside the classroom after that time ends. So I think the other thing that I would kind of point out for folks that are concerned about the impact it would have on their job, and why I don't think it's a serious risk in the short term, I don't think it also doesn't mean we should ignore it. I think kind of being involved in the education field, that's incumbent on all of us to kind of continue to learn and sharpen our own tools and skills and learn how to apply the technology to be more effective. I think when you think about it, the AI models they're trained on human data by humans. They're only going to be as good as we can make it. And us understanding how it works, how to apply it well, is going to be a skill set that it's going to be important for all of us to have.
So no one should be worried about taking their jobs, and you also just encourage like diving in and kind of seeing how it can make your job quicker, better, easier, that kind of thing.
Yeah, if anyone's got examples of places they've used Chat GPT in their personal or professional life, it'd be great to see them in the chat, and we have time at the end, we could talk about some as well.
Awesome. This next question is to Mike. If you're new to Mongoose, or if you've been in Mongoose for a while, you know that we have playbooks, chat playbooks. And I want Mike to, if you can kind of tell the difference between what a playbook does, pros and cons, and then what an AI assistant can kind of do. Can you kind of talk about that for me?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, like Gary was saying, our chatbots have something called a flow, and within those flows, you can have playbooks. You can also have this new AI chatbot functionality. You can have one, you can have both, in kind of this hybrid approach. But ultimately, the difference between a playbook and an AI chatbot is, I like to think it as static versus dynamic. With your playbook, you're always asking the same set of questions. You're giving the same set of answers. So you're always going from path A to B with a playbook. Whereas with an AI chatbot, it's very dynamic. Everything's open-ended. So you go from A to Z and you can bounce back and forth and kind of keep going all around. With the AI chatbots, it can answer a wide range of questions, whereas with the playbook, it's really focused towards answering a specific set of questions, maybe around financial aid, maybe around enrollment. And so really there's benefits to both. It depends on the situation and what you're trying to really what kind of information you're trying to give to your site visitors on your chatbot. But for a playbook, maybe you only have a couple of different financial aid topics that you want to keep within scope on your bot. So you ask those certain questions and you give those specific answers. But then maybe you have something like campus life in your chatbot where you have a bunch of different student types coming and asking various questions about your school. So there you want AI to come in because AI can go and reach out and answer all those questions, because you're not going to sit there and be able to think of the millions of questions that students might come up with for that specific topic. And just kind of what I said earlier is you can combine both. When you're going down your flow with your chatbot, you might hit a certain topic where, hey, let's have AI come in here and respond. Or, oh, okay, you're talking about financial aid, so let's just keep it within scope of the playbook. And you can always bounce back and forth. So it's very neat. It's very flexible.
That's great. For the playbooks, it's nice that you kind of get like presented with this menu, and then you click a button and you get a pre-written response that like you would have total control over, and that's exactly what it says each and every time. How can we make sure that the AI chatbot can stay accurate? I know we've all heard like some horror stories about things that it's just kind of making up or anything like that. So can you kind of just alleviate everybody's concerns about how accurate it may or may not be on their site?
Sure. So something I didn't mention that's worth mentioning is our AI chatbots are tied to something called an AI assistant. And just to briefly mention, we have plans for incorporating these AI assistants in other places of our platform in Cadence, even within texting. But ultimately, what you end up doing is just a general disclaimer, and hopefully everyone knows this, but AI is never going to be 100% perfect. You can try everything you can. There's ways to kind of tweak and optimize AI, but at the end of the day, you can't expect it to be perfect on every single question and getting every answer right. So what we do is, to make it more accurate, we train our chatbots on your own data. So things like PDF documents, text documents, your website. We feed our AI bots, these AI assistants, we feed them a specific data set that allows them to basically train themselves to give you more accurate responses based on your school. And it's really just, sometimes it's trial and error, but for the most part, it does a really good job. But really what happens is if students start asking a question and there's no relevant information, well, we just get that information from you, we feed it to the chatbot, it'll start answering those questions. So it's really just a lot of fine tuning and tweaking and looking at those reoccurring questions, making sure we have the right information that the bot's being trained on. And it's just, like I said, it's a balance act, but it does a really good job.
Mike, one of the great examples that I like to give to clients is our chatbot on Hello Mongoose, as well as in Cadence, is also running on AI. And you were able to kind of make a really great tweak because you saw some other clients who were asking questions about a specific subject, but you were able to kind of like add just a simple, can you talk about what you did to help like answer that question a little more, like how easy of a lift it was for that question to get answered?
Yeah, sure. There's been many examples like this, but the one that I can think of off the top of my head is our internal chatbot is actually trained on AI, Auto, that you see in Cadence. And someone was asking questions, I believe it was around bulk MMS, and it turned out the data set we were training it on, because this was something that we recently updated, It wasn't finding information. So really within a matter of seconds, we had a Word document created, we uploaded it, and then we started asking AI questions around MMS messaging, and boom, it started responding with that information right away. So it's pretty quick. It's just a matter of uploading a document and boom, it just picks it up right away and starts answering and responding.
That's a beautiful thing. I liked what you guys said earlier. It's humans training it on data that were made by humans. So you kind of get what you put into it. So that's really great. So as long as your website is up to date, those assets that they provide, you're going to give your AI assistant the best chance to be accurate. Awesome. Andrew, my next question is to you. I know that there have been some security concerns focused around ChatGPT about like public data and things like that. Can you kind of alleviate of any security concerns that our audience might be having as we kind of talk through this?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think the most important thing is to, and this applies more broadly than just kind of thinking about AI and chatbots, but understand what data you're sharing, who you're sharing it with, and what they're going to do with it, right? When you look at kind of Chat GPT specifically, if you're out there using a Chat GPT account, it is using whatever's in your conversation for training and reinforcing the model. So what if you're providing it data, if you're asking it questions, you shouldn't consider that private data. You certainly shouldn't be using any private data or institutional data in those conversations that you don't want it to become part of its training set. So, and kind of the flip side of that is if you are utilizing ChatGPT to provide answers out, or you have kind of constituents, prospective students, or parents using ChatGPT to do research on the institution because they don't have another place to get that information, or it's the easiest place. They're getting data that's publicly accessible, but it's not guaranteed that if they're just because they're asking about your institution, they're going to be getting answers specific to it. They may get answers from competitors up the road. They may get information that's out of date or inaccurate. So that's not a security concern as much as it is kind of just being aware of how that data is being used and where it's coming from. I think if you're looking at AI solutions or either professionally or personally, there are a couple things to look at on a kind of a small scale. If you look at the team version of ChatGPT, which has a cost associated with it, it also has options to keep your data private. So any data you provide, all of your conversations aren't shared. They're not used for training any public models. They're very secure, and there are other popular AI tools that use a similar approach. So like I said, that's something you can use personally, or if you have a small team using it. If you're looking to roll out like an AI chat solution that's going to cover a large audience, if you're looking to have students or staff interacting with it, obviously going with a trusted partner that has an AI model embedded in their infrastructure. And I'm not going to get too in depth with how we're doing it here, but essentially that is the approach, is that you're not using a public model like ChatGPT at all. You have an AI model that's trained and it's hosted inside of the rest of the product infrastructure. It's not publicly accessible in any way. It's not used for retraining any public models. And ideally, you're working with a vendor that you already trust them with institutional data. You've already verified their security controls, their compliance, and all the rest of their privacy positioning. And that at that point, the AI data, the AI models, is similar to existing databases where they already have other information. And it's not a huge new risk from a security perspective, but would certainly encourage everyone to look for increased transparency around the architecture of those systems if you're looking at them, and try to understand how data is being handled, how it's being utilized, and what it's being used for. That those policies should all be very clear.
Great. That is the last of my questions for you two. Mike, I know you have a little bit of a show and tell for us too. So I need just a quick option from our attendees. It looks like Millikan University is in the house. So Mike's going to share his screen, and he's just going to show us a little bit about how an example conversation in AI can work. Mike, I'm going to go ahead and just copy paste that into the chat again for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. So this is going to give you a little bit of an idea of how a typical conversation might be able to take place on your website. So this is available to the public too. So if you wanted to go ahead and head over to this website, you can plug in your own university and you can play along with it a little bit. So Mike's going to go ahead and pull this up. So here we are with Millikan University site. And this is going to give you an example of what it may look like on your website too. So Mike, you can go ahead and take it away.
Sure. Yeah, just to talk about this briefly, this chatbot is not trained on any university-specific data. This is using a public GPT model that I believe has been trained on data up until April of 2023. So just understand that it might give answers that are a little bit out of date, but this is just our demo and just to kind of show you what GPT and AI can do for you. So I'm going to come in here and Gary, give me a question to ask.
I need to know where their application is. Where can I find your application?
Let's see what it comes back with. All right, so it basically tells me where I can find the application, and it's giving me a link back to where to go and check it out. And then why don't I ask it? I'll ask it something fun. What restaurants are nearby campus? And then the person who's from Millikan University, you can let us know if this is accurate. But here's a couple of options of restaurants around campus.
Derek, if you're there, we need to confirm about Blue Spoon.
But as you can see, you can go back and forth with this. You can ask it, you know. Blue Spoon is sadly closed. Yeah. But as you can see, you can go back and forth. The AI is smart enough to kind of remember your context. It's just going to give you a bunch of different information. You can keep going and really it does a really good job, even for the untrained models. I mean, even though the information could be slightly out of date, it's very good.
That's great.
That's the demo.
Thanks, Mike. We do have time for questions, so we want to make sure that we can get any of those answered for you guys. Do you have any other questions for Andrew, for Mike, what this process might look like? We're here to help with any and all things. So throw them in the chat, throw them in the Q&A. We are here. Mike, while we wait for some questions, can you talk about what an easy lift it might be in order to get from the standpoint of from our clients, how easy this would be to get onto their website?
Oh, it's pretty easy. It's really just a matter of setting up the bot, which, well, easy from an engineering perspective. From the setup perspective, there's a little bit of work involved from Gary and his team. But yeah, it's really not hard at all to set these up. We just share a embed code, which is a little JavaScript snippet that you put on your website, and then it integrates with Cadence, and everything just kind of works out of the box. Then the only other steps would be providing us with the any websites specific to the campus that you want to have crawled for the information to feed AI with, and also any custom documents like PDFs and anything like that. So it's fairly easy to set it all up.
I think would want to reinforce too, kind of on the ease part on the back end from the institution side, like it's being able to go to the website to harvest the information that's already there, that's already being kept up to date. Maybe not in the most organized fashion, but the web scraping tool doesn't really care. It brings in the textual data. The bot now has that. That can happen repeatedly. So the data that the bot is speaking to is constantly kept up to date, and it's not a situation where you're managing, a knowledge base or a set of FAQs in a spreadsheet and continuing to have to update that and provide new information to the bot. It's getting what's current on a consistent basis really easily.
And Andrew, the bot will update once a day. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Once a day. So it's always looking. So as you make those changes, your website's up to date. We'll make sure that their chatbot is too. So we can go ahead and go to the questions. Is this included with Mongoose Cadence, or is there an additional fee we need to pay to utilize an AI chatbot? Andrew, do you want to go ahead and take that?
Sure. There is an additional fee. It's part of the part of the package, along with kind of your using the SMS tools within Cadence now. Would recommend anyone kind of contact their account team to try to get into specifics for their institution on that. And I think one of the not totally related to pricing, but related to that is that the AI model, the assistant that's trained as part of the bot for chat, will be used for other things as well. So it can down the road will be used to be able to provide auto responses from a text inbox. It could be used to provide suggested replies for text messaging, for template generation. Again, because that model's been trained on institution content, it can respond to messages or make suggestions for responses that are not just relevant to the conversation that's happening, but also relevant to information it knows about the institution. So it fits in very well with the entire Cadence platform.
Yeah, that's the great thing about having Cadence text and chat and AI, is that it is all within the same platform. You don't have to be opening and closing different services or whatever it may be. So it's all right there in one convenient package for you all too. So definitely get into contact with your CSM or your AM, your account manager. They'll be happy to talk about any packages or bundles or whatever it may be in order to get you guys up and running too. So we're still at a couple minutes, so I just want to make sure that everyone is throwing their questions in. Looks like there were some key takeaways in the chat as well from our AI user, so that's great too. So yeah, what other questions does everybody have for us? Andrew, can you talk about maybe a little bit about what you have seen from your favorite use case from a ChatGPT perspective? Mike, if you have this too, you can weigh in. I know I'm putting you guys on the spot. So
there are a few things. I'm trying to think of most recently what I've used it for. Aside from helping my daughter do calculus homework, because I have to relearn it now. Which is it's a great as a learning tool, I guess. That's a great example of that, where yes, you could try to plug in a specific math problem and get an answer back, but it's not necessarily going to be super accurate at that. What it can do better is you could say, teach me how to figure out this type of problem. And it can go through the steps. You can ask it more information. You can ask follow-up questions. We've done that successfully with a couple things this year and kind of advanced math related. It's been great. Professionally, I used it the other day for figuring out a crazy Google Sheets formula or Excel. So if you're like an Excel or Sheets power user and trying to do something very complicated in there, it does a great job if you explain what you're trying to do with your formula and give it a subset of the data. Or even you could just upload a spreadsheet and say, I'm trying to do a formula that will do this. It can work through that, give you the formula, and make other recommendations for it. So I think that's a great example of just kind of saving me the time from having to do trial and error and read a bunch of things on Google, having it kind of work through the process with me.
Yeah, for me personally, I use it quite a bit. I actually use it to help me write emails and letters sometimes on various topics. It's very helpful, very useful, but then I go in and I clean it up a bit. Professionally, I do use it for like some code help sometimes. But for example, like what I really like about GPT is if I need a set of data in a certain format, I can go to it and say, hey, can you give me a list of the United States with these specific attributes in this specific format? And then I just get it, I copy paste it and put it in my application. So it helps with a lot of shortcutting of things, and that's really where I use it professionally. But yeah, AI, it's pretty neat what you can do with it.
Awesome. It doesn't look like we have any more questions, so I do want to thank both of you guys for joining me today. This was a great little learning experience for everybody here too. I'm just going to share my screen real quick for everybody as well. So I just want to give you all a friendly reminder that today, the latest episode of FYI dropped too, where Gil Rogers, our host, he sits down with somebody in the higher ed space along with you folks and talks about some of the latest and greatest topics. He has pumped out a lot of great episodes circling around FAFSA, the discussion. We've also seen a recent TikTok episode. So those are all really great things to just a little quick listen to kind of get up on some of the better topics going around as well. As well as for what's upcoming next, we have our May episode. It's all going to be about orientation prep. So we can go ahead and we'll be sitting down with our guest and kind of talking about what you might need to be starting to think about as your orientations are coming towards the end into the summer as well. And then as well as some cadence cleanup, managing melt, and the power of the nudge as we close out the summer as well. So of course, we always need some client guests. So if any of you are interested in participating in any of these specific topics, or if you have a topic that you yourself are really interested in participating in, we'll be happy to go ahead and get something set up too. So make sure that you talk to your CSM, whoever it may be, and we'll be able to get you guys set up. So we really appreciate everyone coming in today, and thank you for coming by. So we'll see you guys in a month. Bye, everybody. Take care.
Bye, everyone.